Good evening and welcome to the syracuse.com debate in the Democratic primary for the next mayor of Syracuse. I'm Chris Baker, an editor with syracuse.com and the Post-Standard, and I'm here today with three candidates seeking the Democratic line in this year's mayoral race. They are Councilor Pat Hogan, Deputy Mayor Sharon Owens, and Councilor Chol Majok. Pat, Sharon, Chol, welcome, and thank you for taking the time tonight to answer our questions. This race comes at an opportune time for Syracuse. Mayor Ben Walsh leaves City Hall at the end of his 8 years in office. Those years have seen a pandemic that upended how we live and work. We've had huge shifts in our economy, including the announcement of Micron's transformational investment here. We've seen a nationwide reckoning over police oversight and accountability, coinciding with spikes here in juvenile crime and debates over punishment for that crime. And Syracuse continues to work its way through major projects in transportation and public housing with Interstate 81 and the East Adams Project. The next mayor will inherit a city on the precipice of more changes to how we live, work, recreate, and thrive. He or she will also take the office amid a historically turbulent time in the federal government. In short, one of you has your work cut out. Tonight, we'll cover topics of local and national interest in an effort to better understand where each of you stands on critical issues and to draw distinctions between each candidate's record and leadership style. We're broadcasting live tonight from the SI Newhouse School of Public Communications at Syracuse University, which has once again partnered with us and offered space and resources to host this exchange of ideas before the election. I'd like to thank all the staff and students, especially here, who helped make this night possible. Speaking of the election, the primary is open to all voters registered as a Democrat in Syracuse. Early voting begins June 14th and Election Day is June 24th. To learn more about where, when, and how to vote, visit elections.ny.gov. We'll start the debate tonight with 90-second opening statements from each candidate, then move on to the question and answer portion. Each candidate will have 60 seconds for responses in that section, and time for rebuttals at my discretion. We picked from a hat to determine who begins. Pat Hogan, we'll start with you.
Thank you, Chris. My name is Pat Hogan. I'm running for mayor of the city of Syracuse, and I love this city, and I always have. I love the neighborhoods that I grew up in, that I walked through and I raised my family in. I love the Syracusans for their wit and candor and their intelligence. As I look into the future, I see we got great projects coming our way. We have the Micron project, we got the Route 81 project, but we have our problems, and unfortunately a lot of these problems that our current city administration hasn't addressed. We have the water system that leaks and has lead in it. We had a payroll modernization plan that didn't modernize anything, didn't work, spent $10 million, and is still like in trouble. We have the tragedy of the Children's Rising Center. Disappointed a neighborhood on the south side and disappointing the children on the south side. Now up here on this dais, we have people with varying degrees of experience and ability. I'm chair of the Greater Syracuse Land Bank. I'm chair of the Onondaga County Industrial Development Company that will manage the Micron project. I'm a 7-term city councilor. I've been elected president pro tem by my colleagues on the council. I am also a former city deputy commissioner, and I work for the city school district. I think I'm a strong leader, and I have been proven that way as a leader on the council and also a leader as an administrator.
Thank you, Pat. Sharon.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you to syracuse.com and the Syracuse University Newhouse School of Communication for this opportunity. I'm running to be the 55th mayor of this great city. This city adopted me when I left Syracuse University in 1985. And it embraced me and it taught me. And the people who really taught me were the individuals who lived in the neighborhoods of this city. And it was at that time that I fell in love with this city because I fell in love with its people. And I began a journey of meeting people in every neighborhood, kitchen by kitchen, living room by living room, in Head Start classrooms, working with families. I continued on that path and then found myself under Stephanie Miner working in the housing area, taking that experience the experience of being in rooms and understanding the needs of people to City Hall. I went back to not-for-profit to run the Southwest Community Center. And then I came back to City Hall to again use the experience from working with people in the community, on the ground, listening to their concerns, and bringing them into City Hall. I am ready. My executive leadership puts me in a position to run our city at this critical time.
Thank you, Sharon. Chol.
Thank you, Chris. My name is Dr. Chol Majok. I'm a former refugee and a South Sudanese American. I'm a husband, a father, and a second-chance Syracusan. Syracuse is home. From foster care in the Brighton neighborhood to Fowler High School to a first-generation college graduate with a doctorate in executive leadership. As a well-trained executive leader, I have over 12 years of executive and legislative experience in city and state government, along with close to a decade of workforce and organizational development and leadership. As your next mayor, I will tackle current mismanagement and leadership deficiencies that have made Syracuse the city with the poorest children in the nation. Address housing crises that continue to push families and children to homelessness. Address deteriorating police-community relation and rising crime. Tackle workforce and skill gap and low reading abilities in our community that continue to push us and feed the generational poverty. It is clear Syracuse needs a system reset, a new beginning, with a strong executive that will have a strong political will to do things. As your next mayor, I will lead Syracuse into a future where families thrive, neighborhoods flourish, and opportunities are accessible. Thank you.
Thank you all. We're going to start the questions with a question about housing, and Chol, we will start with you on this question. For buyers and renters and for people across the economic spectrum, finding decent housing continues to be a problem in the city. Experts have said over and over that the best way out of the crisis is to build more housing, especially affordable housing. Even where that's happening in the city, it's not nearly fast enough. What aren't we doing now that would help ease the housing crisis in Syracuse?
It is true we need to build more housing as our housing infrastructure is crumbling. What we are not doing is taking care of what we already have. One, we are not enforcing enough to make sure that bad landlords and people who are letting properties deteriorate and poisoning our children are taking care of those properties. We need to be strong in how we reinforce and making sure that we hold bad landlord accountable. The other thing we need to be able to do is to make sure that we train people and help individuals so that they are more skilled to do for themselves. City can do so much, but when we team up with people and residents to do for themselves, not only does it increase that, but it allows us an opportunity where people can do for themselves and continue to build more and buy more housing and pay into the tax base that continue to hold our city strong.
Pat Hogan, what aren't we doing now that would help ease the housing crisis in Syracuse?
Well, Chris, you're right. We need to build more housing, and we're building more housing up on the West End in the Syracuse Developmental Center area. That'll be 550 units. The mistake sometimes people make is we partner with the wrong people. We should partner with people who are experiencing this, like Home Headquarters, which just built a string of houses along Ontario Street. Well, we should partner with Empire Housing, who's very good as far as housing goes. We have to, the 3,000 people that are unhoused every night weighs heavily on me. 70% of our housing stock was built before 1970. So places like the Land Bank, where we can pump more money into the Land Bank, who've been successful. I'm chair of the Land Bank. 1,400 houses we've revamped over the last 10 years. You know, where we offer houses who are dilapidated, delinquent to people who maybe not have the money, but they certainly have the skills to rehab their houses. We have to try every channel in order to build more housing.
Sharon, same question.
Yes, we are building housing. The SDC project, what we're doing with low-income housing tax credit projects, the rezone that was implemented by this administration and approved by the council. requires affordable units in development projects that are receiving benefits and producing housing. And we are enforcing landlords who are not owning up to their due. We have gone after the Greens unprecedentedly. We are now going after clear investment because Skyline, Vincent, and the apartments in that inventory need to be available for housing. We are working today, just this afternoon. I went up to Parkside Commons, invited by a mom up there who was saying I needed to see her apartment because of the roaches and the issues with vermin in her apartment. It's too small for her children in there. And so we are working on this.
Thank you, Sharon. Pat, we'll start this next question with you. I'd like to talk about crime in the city. In recent years, we've seen a rise in gun violence among children and teens in the city. It's part of a nationwide problem. And we've also seen a visible rash of property crimes like stolen cars and burglaries. Advocates disagree on the solution. In your eyes, how critical is the teen crime problem, and what could you do from the mayor's office to address it?
Well, it's very critical. While there is homicides and violent crime have gone down, property crime has gone up. Property crime sucks the life out of neighborhoods. That's the reason people move from the city sometimes. I have a project that I like to put in, a program like that called the Community Schools Program, which is very successful back in the 70s, 80s, where we're offer tutoring and safe places to play for kids in the city school buildings from 3 to 10 o'clock at night. Put every elementary school in one council district at a time and staff it with the Parks and Recreation Department. I'm sure we could get grants from that from all sorts of places, and we could also use some of our city funding. We got to get the kids off the street and away from that life.
Sharon.
Our young people are choosing gun violence for a lot of different reasons. I believe wholeheartedly that gun violence is the ultimate violence. It results in the loss of life. And there has to be consequences for that. But I am also interested in understanding why our young people are choosing, it's a personal choice, to pick up a gun and to take someone's life or to harm them. Property crime it may not feel violent or have a statistics of violence, but it is violent. To feel that you're not sure about your business or your home because of break-ins. We have our responsibility, our law enforcement officers are tracking down these young people. And we need to work with our family court system, our juvenile court system, to find solutions for these children.
Thank you. Chol.
Well, it is true that Syracuse is going through a tough time with crimes. And what we need to do is equip our police department with more people to be able to handle the workload, one. Number two is to make sure that we build a respite space for these children, because we continue to catch these young people and we release them back into the street committing the same thing. We have not done enough, especially under this administration, working with the county to make sure that there are respite space where these children cannot no longer go back into the street until they are rehabilitated and sent back to the street. Work with parents to make sure that these children have a level of accountability with their parents. And that is how we address this issue. And there's, as well, making sure that police and officers are walking the street, making sure that children are aware of these officers, and these officers are aware of these children. So you build that relationship moving forward.
Just brief follow-up, a yes or no answer. We'll work our way down the line, starting with you, Pat. Yes or no, do you support Chief Cecil's policy of not chasing stolen cars in the city?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Let's talk about water safety, and we will start, Sharon, with you on this question. Last summer, testing showed high amounts of lead in the water at some homes. Further investigation showed that the people who did the testing may have screwed it up. The result was a confusing and worrying period for many residents who were left unsure about the safety of their water. How could that situation have been handled differently, or what could we learn from it going forward?
Well, the mishap of how we tested was the first step that take ownership for what we did wrong. how are we changing it going forward? We're outsourcing. We're not in the business of testing water. We're bringing professionals in to test water based on other cities' models. We're brilliant in Syracuse, but there are other municipalities that do things differently. We should be learning from other municipalities. This topic is very personal to me. My son, when he was 2 years old, we received a notice from the health department because he had elevated lead. So when it comes to lead, whether it's in water or in paint, is critical. And my background in Head Start helps me understand the devastating impact it has on brainstem development. So we are working on changing our lead service lines on the private side and continuing to receive federal funds for remediation of lead in the paint.
Chol.
It is true, lead is a painful thing to deal with in the city of Syracuse, especially as a parent of young children. It is true. However, what continues to happen in this community, especially under this administration, is lack of accountability. It takes from bad testing to IT to Blueprint 15. There is no accountability. There is no ownership, and that is where the problems start. We know that we have been struggling with lead since this administration took office, and little continue to be done, and there's no ownership. We as council, we have voted to authorize that, but resources to be able to do the work, but the accountability and responsibility as the first step of leadership is to take accountability. And this community and this administration has not done that to this community.
Well, of course, we also had a leakage problem, and we also had a water pressure problem. And the water system, and the council had numerous meetings on it, invited the public in to speak, not only, and the lead pipe crisis, of course. At the insistence of my fellow councilors, we sent a letter to the commissioner of the water department, and he gives us a weekly update on everything now. So we can find out exactly what's going on a weekly basis.
Okay. Sharon, just some of these things we're talking about the administration. I'd like to give you just the last word on this, 30 seconds.
It's clear that we're going to be coming at the administration all night tonight. So lead did not start under the Walsh administration. The ancient infrastructure did not start under the Walsh administration, but it is my work along with my colleagues in this administration that are tackling the problem. And that's what leaders do. You look at the problem head on and you try to address it.
Okay. Thank you. I'd like to talk about citywide property tax reassessments. Pat, we'll start with you on this question. For several years, the city has explored a citywide property tax revaluation to address unfair assessments that our reporting found have an outsized impact on Syracuse's poorest homeowners. As that plan neared the finish line this week, the council has decided to delay it. Pat, a citywide revaluation would take 3 years and likely would not affect the tax rolls until somewhere around 2028. You said this week you don't believe the council will approve the contract to begin it this year, and you cited uncertainty in the economy. How do you justify the delay, and if now is not the right time to do a citywide reassessment, when is?
Well, you don't get the phone calls I get. I get phone calls from people who ask us all sorts of questions, not only local questions, they ask us about their Medicare or the Medicaid or their Social Security because of the chaos in Washington. I mean, as an incumbent city councilor, I got to take that into account. People, when you talk about revalve, everybody thinks their taxes are going up. And I don't want to excite the populace anymore. We're in trouble. People can't afford what they're living right now. For a stable way of life, we have to think back about how we're going to accomplish this. So we're going to hold it off. The administration's talking about a 2% tax hike. We're not going to do that either. We're going to find ways to look at the budget and adjust the budget the way so we don't have to raise taxes on people and we don't have to scare them about a revalve.
Sharon, on the revaluation?
On the revaluation, it is a mistake. Revaluation is about equity. It is about starting a process of collecting data to help us understand where property values are and taxing appropriately. So people in one side of town are not paying the same tax that people on the other side of town when the value of the homes are not the same. Just last year, my home was reassessed. and I had a tax increase. But the value of my home also increased. And so we need to move this along.
And Chol, is now the right time for reevaluation? Why or why not?
No, it is not. As a parent and as a man raising a young family, Syracuse is already drowning. And to continue to add more into the few taxpayers to pay more is just not the right time to do it. And since the beginning of this administration, it has been taxes getting raised. When is this going to be enough? And I think as a community, it's too much. We are the most impoverished city in the nation, and we continue to raise those taxes. It's just not the time to do it.
So I'd like to follow up with Pat and Chol on this, because numbers suggest that for about a third of homeowners, property taxes would stay the same. For about a third, they would go up, and about a third they would go down. And this would that third that they would go down would most likely be the most low-income people who are homeowners. So how do you characterize this as a tax increase when it would ultimately level out? And Pat, 30 seconds for each of you.
My house was one of the 20%. We do 20% a year right now, and my house went up too. So I understand all that, but the logic doesn't matter here. Folks nowadays are under a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure to feed their families, a lot of pressure to keep their houses up. We found out from our housing study that $50 billion, we have $50 billion worth of deferred maintenance in our city homes. That means people don't have the money to keep their houses up. So to scare them like this with what's going on in the national economy and what's going on down in Washington, no, we're not going to do it.
Chol, same follow.
Well, Chris, there's no way to say this. Whatever term you put to it, somebody's going to be paying more. And as a city, our residents just don't have that ability. I start with myself. As a parent, as a homeowner, I just don't have that. Raising a family and trying to keep up with the property tax as they are, it's just not something that is in the pocket at the moment for me and many residents who are out there who are struggling.
Okay.
Chris, if I may, there are pressures on all homes. Every home has pressure of paying the taxes or the income or the expenses for their house. So this reval really takes a look at all properties and all homes that are all feeling the pressure, whether they're the highest income of our community or the lowest income of our community.
But if I could,
Thank you. I'd like to move on from this topic. I tried to give everyone a fair shot at this one. I'd like to talk, and Sharon, we'll start with you on this question, about Donald Trump. When Stephanie Miner was mayor, she made a very public point of defying the Trump administration, including hosting weekly rallies downtown and declaring Syracuse a sanctuary city. Mayor Walsh has been somewhat more reserved in using the bully pulpit to talk about this presidency. On a scale of Miner to Walsh, what role do you think the mayor of Syracuse should take in criticizing, resisting, or supporting policies and actions from President Trump?
So we are absolutely going to protect the citizens of our community. And we have a policy among our police department that our police are not paid by the taxpayers of the city of Syracuse to act as ICE agents. And so it is absolutely our intent to not be engaged in ICE activities. Now, if we're asked to, if there is crowd control, we may be there. But we will not be putting handcuffs on individuals that ICE has determined through whatever process they're going through to whether someone is illegal or legal. And there must be warrants for this activity. And we're going to adhere to the law.
Chol.
Well, when Stephanie Miner was doing her Trump Tuesday, I was one of those, Chris. We were out there in the cold trying to fight back because what last Trump presidency or term did was that it's completely divided the community. And what Stephanie Miner did back then, it was something that as New American we approve of it. We felt that somebody was standing with us at that moment. Now, moving forward with President Trump, we are Syracuse. We are a community of international folks. And what we are going to do is to make sure that we protect those people at all costs, because those people are taxpayers, those people are parents, those people are residents, those people are brothers, those people are sisters. And as Syracuse, we're going to stand by those individuals to make sure that they are protected. And to Deputy Mayor Owens' point, yes, This city it's going to stand by laws, and until somebody has a warrant, Syracuse is going to stand strong and push back.
Thank you. Pat?
We're going to protect the citizens of the city of Syracuse. And also I want to draw, obviously, the city police department's got 40 vacancies. They got way too much work to do the work of the ICE agents. So we're going to protect our people, and we're going to act in a legal manner, basically.
Okay. We're going to take a quick break from these questions for a series of short answer lightning round questions here. I've got 8 or 9 questions, and I'm going to run down the line here. One-word answers. I'll probably have to remind you of this. One-word answers. Maybe
You get to make the rules on this?
maybe
What is
2,
this?
but brief answers. I get to make all the rules here,
Yeah.
Pat.
Okay. Here.
So we will. That's right. Chol, we'll start with you. Despite promises to remove the Columbus statue, it's still standing. Would the statue come down under your tenure as mayor?
No.
Sharon?
Yes.
Pat?
No.
Work coming this way. Pat, we'll start with you. Who makes the best sandwich in Syracuse?
Thanos.
Brooklyn Pickle.
Brooklyn Prickle. I do go there
I get
a
in
lot.
trouble because it's a Republican owns it, maybe? I don't know.
Let's see. Sharon, we'll start with you. What downtown festival are you most looking forward to this summer?
Juneteenth.
Chol?
Same.
Pat?
Jazz Fest.
Chol, starting with you. What's the last good TV show you watched?
Oh my goodness. I watch Family Matters.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's a
long time
classic.
ago.
It's a
Okay.
classic. I replayed.
I like The Wire.
My Nationals beating the Mets in extra innings the other night.
All right. Pat, we'll come this way. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate Kathy Hochul's performance as our governor?
I think she's a 6.
Sharon?
I'd say she's a 7.
Chol?
She's an 8.
Sharon, we'll start with you. Would you ever support taking mayoral control of the schools?
No.
Chol?
No.
Pat?
Yes.
Chol, starting with you. Short answer on this one. What's been the most positive change in Syracuse in the last decade?
New arrivals.
Sharon?
The growth.
Sorry?
Growth.
The exciting revival of downtown.
And last one, Pat, we'll start with you. Do you like your big new garbage can?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Chol?
Yes.
All right. All right, we'll get back to some more serious questions now. I'd like to take a moment to ask each of you a specific question. And Sharon, I'm going to start with you. As deputy mayor, you're board chair of Blueprint 15,
Yes.
the nonprofit stewarding a massive redevelopment of public housing in the East Adams neighborhood.
Yep.
Blueprint's proposed Children Rising Center has been plagued by communication lapses and soured relationships between the involved parties. Our reporting has shown that there's a leadership vacuum on the program. How much responsibility do you think you bear for its struggles, and what would you change as mayor to make sure the people of that neighborhood get the project they deserve?
So first of all, I would correct the language because Blueprint 15 is a not-for-profit organization. It does not own the property in the 15th Ward. It does not manage the property in the 15th Ward. That is the Syracuse Housing Authority. Blueprint 15, with that amazing team, with our director and the help of the Ellen Family Foundation, put together a plan for the Children Rising Center. It was envisioned out of air for $32 million emphasis for that community. We had aligned funding for that project, and we're prepared to move forward in this construction season to begin to break ground. What had to happen was site control. Again, Blueprint does not own the property. And so in this process, there was deadlines missed, whether they're denied or not, that curtailed that ability to get site control on that project.
Chol, I'd like to ask you about the Citizen Review Board. That board is in free fall right now. It oversees civilian complaints against the police and has lost all of its leadership in recent months and faced claims of mismanagement. You're the chair of the Public Safety Committee, and you've clashed with the administration and the board over proper oversight of the CRB. How much responsibility do you own for the mess with the board, and why?
Well, leadership take ownership. and whether I have a complete responsibility on CRB or not. As a council, on the council body, as a chair of public safety, I own that. And although when you look at the makeup of the board, there are 3 at-large appointments. I am one of the 4 at-large appointments, councilors. There are 5 district, and there are 3 mayoral appointments. I'm taking ownership because it is the right thing to do, it's a leadership thing to do. But in a legislative work, no one person is responsible for such a work. It includes the administration, it includes the council. Now, we make the appointment, and it's the responsibility of the board to take care of the business. Now, with recent resignation, it had nothing to do with the council. It was the internal board operation. We had nothing to do with that. The council made sure that the board was full and was operating. And we have to go back to the drawing ground again to make sure that we appoint again, just like we did.
Okay, thank you. Pat, I'd like to ask you about good cause eviction. You've been critical of the proposal, which is a law intended to add more protections for tenants by limiting a landlord's ability to evict. You supported removing the proposal from the council's agenda earlier this year. Some of the city's big developers and well-known landlords have donated to your campaign. In a city with hugely unaffordable housing, how do you explain your position to tenants who say you're not looking out for them?
Well, first of all, a lot of people have donated to my campaign. Second of all, I think we have to be cognizant of our city. 70% of our, as I mentioned before, 70% of our houses are built before 1970. We have like significant 65% of those of our houses are owned by, landlords. It'd be a disincentivize people to spend money in the city to improve housing. That's basically it. We put us in a disadvantage on all of our suburban counterparts around town. And as far as anything else goes, frankly, it's smart for us to see how it works in other cities. Why they have like a 10-unit benchmark and others, and the state law does, everybody's gone down to 1 unit. So you could own the house, you could buy a 2-family house right next to you and be part of this law. There's already also a lot of duplicative legislation that protects tenants. For instance, the retaliatory eviction is already against the law.
Thank you, Pat. I'd like to introduce Ronnie Perillo is a senior journalism student here at the Newhouse School, and he will ask your next question.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you, candidates, for joining us tonight. According to the U.S. Census and syracuse.com reporting, the city of Syracuse holds the top spot for childhood poverty in the nation, with over 13,000 children living below the poverty line as of 2024. That's over 40% of the youth in this city. What is one thing that you would do as mayor that the city is not currently doing to address this crisis?
Chol, we'll start with you.
Okay. It is heartbreaking the way our children are living in the city of Syracuse. And as next mayor, my focus would be geared toward workforce development. Poverty is an economic issue. And to be able to address it, parents, caregivers have to have the ability economically to provide for themselves and their children. Also, there has to be an educational level in which individuals are empowered and given opportunity to improve literacy rate and family stability. So I have 3 ways to address poverty in this community. Workforce development, in which currently we don't give much to it. In the last, as it stands, 800 individuals have been trained for the last, however, Mayor Walsh has been in office, and only 70 of them got jobs. It's just not the way to move this community forward. And like I said, poverty is an economic issue, and to be able to address it, we need to be able to equip with the people with the right skill and be able to provide for themselves.
Thank you. Sharon.
Poverty is economic status. It's defined as a financial status of a household. And so I agree. You have to start by increasing the revenue that people bring into their homes. And so you do that by training people. You do that by implementing programs that do train people. And to kind of demean the numbers of people we've trained, those people have there's been a transition in their life because they've been trained, they've been paid while they've been training. They've also been in apprenticeships to get good paying, living wage, family sustaining jobs through Syracuse Build, Pathways to Apprentice, for the I-81 project, through the on-ramp that is coming to our community, through OCC in their clean room, and Lemoyne and all of our amazing educational institutions. And so that is the pathway to increasing the amount of income people have in their homes.
Pat?
Well, actually, it's family poverty. It's housing, education, and jobs. On the housing front, we should build as much housing as we possibly can. Like the houses I mentioned on Ontario Street, and the 27 houses we're going to be doing up on the West End, as long as part of that 550-unit housing project we got on the West End. Education, we got to get the kids to go to school. 50% of the kids are absent from school. We have great programs in the School for Jobs. We got a career academy at Fowler. We got a great welding program at Corcoran. These are all good paying jobs. And at the end, it's having the jobs. And the Micron, Route 81 project, we have to make sure that those benefits from those jobs are spread across all our neighborhoods. No neighborhoods left out.
Thank you all. Ronnie, thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you.
You were just a pinch hitter, Ronnie? Or?
If my arm gets tired, we'll call him out of the bullpen. All right, so I'd like to ask a question about City Hall, and Pat, we'll start with you on this one. Tell me one person you'd hire as part of your administration, or somebody that you would keep from the current administration, and why?
There's a lot of folks in City Hall, especially the financial team. Michael Carnazaro with Commissioner of Finance does a fine job, and he wears a lot of hats. I don't want to speak to any others because it isn't fair, but there's some very good people that work in City Hall now.
Chol?
It is true, I agree with Pat, that there are good people that are working at City Hall, but I'm looking for a transformation. So a lot of people that will be coming with me will be new people. I don't know who to keep yet, but we'll cross that road when we get there.
Sharon?
People in City Hall work very hard, and I agree with the councilor that it's not fair to begin to talk about who would stay and who wouldn't stay. Individuals who are doing a great job, I'll have conversations about what role would they like to continue or not. I too want to bring in new blood, new ideas, new faces into City Hall. And I think it would be a great combination of experience and new ideas into City Hall under my administration.
Thank you. Sharon, we'll start this next question with you. I'd like to return to the police department. The next mayor will appoint a new police chief. Joe Cecil has said that he will retire at the end of this year. Tell us, A, one thing that you would look for in your next police chief, and B, one instruction or directive that you would give them that you would like to see them undertake in their time as chief. And Sharon, we'll start with you.
So first of all, Joe Cecil is a public servant that has served the city for decades, and we all owe him a debt of gratitude. I will be looking for a chief that understands 21st century policing, that understands the laws of policing, the strategies of policing, the regulations of policing, also understanding accountability that comes with that important job, as well as community engagement. There are people in that force that you mentioned earlier, Chris, the 2020 and the Reformation and Reform movement that I was on the ground in, working with the police department that didn't shun it, but embraced it and did an amazing job in helping us create a path forward. And I'll be looking to do that with the department moving forward.
Thank you. Pat?
Joe Cecil's done a great job. I recommend him and went the first time. And I actually told him to stick around because you never could tell what was going to happen with police chiefs. He's a great public servant. He's a great friend. He's a great neighborhood guy, and he knows the city inside and out. We have a plethora of great captains and upper management in the city police department. I certainly will hire from within the city Syracuse Police Department. They're good listeners. I see them at neighborhood meetings because I attend a ton of neighborhood meetings. They're very sharp, and they're ahead of the curve probably in any other police department in the country.
Joel?
Well, I will join Deputy Mayor and Council Hogan in thanking Joe Cecil for his service, and also to thank his family, because for all of us that are in public service, it takes an entire family to do it. The sacrifice that goes in, I want to thank him and his family for continuing to serve this community. What I would look for in the next chief is somebody who understands culture change, because part of the critique that I hear a lot in the community about the department is the culture. And that culture needs to be driven by a strong leader. Great organizations have great culture. And if City of Syracuse is going to be a city that embrace every single person, that has to start with a culture. So culture, to Deputy Mayor's point, accountability is one of those things as well. Also, the integration, because as a refugee and as a South Sudanese American, I'm looking for a community that will embrace me and everyone that is coming to Syracuse.
Thank you. I'd like to talk a little bit about the last 8 years and Mayor Walsh's time in office. Pat, we'll start with you on this question. Two-parter. Tell us one thing that you think Ben Walsh got very right, and one thing that you think Mayor Walsh got very wrong.
I think very right in the beginning is he recognized this is important for a lot of us city councilors, he recognized that our fleet, our motorized fleet, was in bad shape. And he went out and bonded and asked us to bond for vehicles, because our vehicles were in poor shape. And if you can't attend to a lot of things if your vehicles are in poor shape. I think he got it wrong with the mayor's anti-gang violence. That was probably the most significant thing. The idea of paying stipends to people who are already in the life of crime, I voted against. And I didn't think that was a good idea. And right now it's sort of an abject failure, because we were promised like 50 people would be in that program, and we're down to like 14. And nothing's really happened. They had trouble starting.
Sharon, I'd like to give you a chance to respond to that, but first, Chol, on that question.
Well, I would like to say that one of the things that the city should have never got involved in is this Columbus Circle monument. We should have never gotten into that, because I think as a community, you cannot get it right. It's a divisive issue that should have been left alone. That's one. The other piece is I agree with Council Hogan. We put in $1.2 million into this gun violence issue, and it has not produced what was intended. Out of the 50 people that were supposed, and minimum, that were supposed to be recruited and worked with, we only got 9 to 13 of them. It's just not a good. It wasn't a good initiative. And to everybody's point, we learned from it, and I think it wasn't a good program. But on the other hand, Ben Walsh is a really great father, and I appreciate that about him.
Sharon.
What he's gotten right is he came out of the gate understanding that our growth was based on collaboration. He worked extremely well with the Onondaga County executive, with New York State, to put us on a trajectory for the growth that we're seeing right now and the opportunities we have in this community. That is absolutely what he did right. What he did wrong, and this is where my good friend and boss, Ben Walsh, and I part ways, is his ability to get along with people and try to give people chance after chance after chance. 2 years ago, I saw the train coming down the road for SHA and the need for their capacity building and the need for us to do some different things when it came to capacity, leadership, and the board.
I saw you shaking your head during when Pat was talking about the gang violence issue. Would you like 30 seconds to respond to that?
I absolutely would. It is interesting and easy for individuals to make statements like that about what is the most troubled population in our community, and that is individuals who make a choice to pick up a gun. And our own police department, our own chief, has said that we cannot arrest our way out of this, and there has to be a community and law enforcement efforts to address it. As far as the numbers are concerned, the 50 individuals we got out and to address their issues, we touched base with those people. We got engaged with those people. The smaller number are the people who actually agreed to do counseling, which was going to be a stretch from the beginning.
But Chris, I just wanted to mention something, and
30
I think
seconds.
the Deputy Mayor brought it up about collaboration. A mailer that came out of her campaign, or sort of close to her campaign, criticized me for my collaboration with the county executive, who's a longtime family friend. Unfortunately, I think we don't realize how important it is to work with people from other parties who happen to be the county and the city. We have to get along. We're all in this together.
I absolutely collaborate with the county and the county exec, and more importantly, his staff, who actually implement his policies.
Chol, last word, 30 seconds, then we'll move on.
This program is not getting criticized for the intention. It was a poor and terrible management that took its shape. The intention was great, poor management. Now with SHA, again, I go back to leadership and oversight that was poorly done.
Okay, let's talk about Micron, and I'm all out of sorts with our order here, so I'm going to start at the top of the order with you, Chol, and we'll work our way down the line. Micron has promised $100 billion in investment in the northern suburbs in a program that would attract tens of thousands of jobs and just as many new people to this area. The plan, as proposed, would transform the region, but there's a real chance this progress and development misses Syracuse if the city doesn't make the right moves in the coming years. What can you do as mayor to ensure that Syracuse is not left behind by the huge investments coming to this region?
Well, with the rate we are going, Chris, we are going to get left behind. Because, first of all, Micron is going to come with its own workforce. And in the city of Syracuse, the plan is in clay. Now, there's a transportation issue there. Number two, Micron is going to require certain level of skills in which this community is not ready for it. When you look at the training that is getting done in Onondaga County, which they are doing a great job, by the way, how many city residents do you see in that? Not too many. So in a sense, we are not ready as a city for Micron. It is a great opportunity, but we have just done such a poor job that we don't have the work skills and the workforce to be able to match that and take advantage of that. Syracuse is going to be left behind, just as it always been left behind, and the poverty is going to escalate just as much, not because of absence of job, but because we have not prepared people to take that. My proposal has always been, okay, in a state of dreaming into the future, let's take care of what's in front of us. There's a ton of healthcare jobs here that are left unfilled.
Thank you.
And we should be paying attention to those.
Thank you. Sharon.
I cannot want to be the mayor of the city and believe that the city that I want to be mayor for is going to be left behind. It is the job of the next mayor to ensure that we are not left behind. It is what I'm doing right now in the midst of conversations around 81, around the on-ramp, in the OCC room, to ensure when the clean room and President Hillman comes and says we need to recruit more, I'm going to community centers. I'm going to CNY Works to say, let's get folks into those clean rooms. We have to be proactive about getting people. We've made this mistake before. Make no bones about it. In the 90s, when all of the factories, Miller, GE, Carrier, closed, that's when I called Syracuse my home, when those factories closed down. We made a mistake because we did not transition our people. It is the job of the mayor to be in a position to ensure that we're going forward.
Thank you. Pat.
Well, I'm on the inside. I'm chair of the Onondaga County Industrial Development Agency, and that's the very agency that will be managing the Micron project. I sat with the Micron people. Their commitment to the whole region is true. I think we have to up our ante a little bit. We have to make sure that our folks are trained, especially in the city school district. For instance, I know many of the people who do the training for the IBEW, they're going to need 1,000 electricians. But to be an electrician, you have to have fundamental understanding of algebra. So it's up to our city school system to get the kids up to the levels where they can apply for those Micron jobs, those tradesmen. There'll be 400 electricians. When all 4 fabs are built, there'll be 400 electricians on campus working every single day. This is going to be a transformative project, and it's up to the city and the next mayor to make sure that all those benefits, some of them come to the city of Syracuse.
All right. Our final question, then I'll give you each a chance for closing statements. We talked a little bit earlier about Donald Trump and some issues with the federal government. But I'd just like to ask each of you, under your administration, will you consider Syracuse a sanctuary city, and what does that mean to you? And Pat, we'll start with you.
It's not a legal term. And I mentioned before, our city police department has way too much to do to act as ICE agents. I'm also cognizant of the fact that the person in the White House has a long memory. And I'm not going to poke the bears, as they say, and draw a big red circle around Syracuse and then have 25 ICE agents in Lorraine at Hancock Airport kicking down doors on Gifford Street. We're going to cooperate with the federal authorities. A lot of times our federal authorities, by the way, they don't let us know when they're in town. They don't let us know at all. All DEA, ICE, all of them don't. But our city police officers will take care of city problems. They're not going to be ICE agents.
Sharon.
ICE agents are already in Syracuse. They're already in our neighborhoods. Again, Syracuse is a welcoming community. It has proven itself to be such. The term sanctuary city was uttered during, it's not an ordinance, it's not law in Syracuse. So it is not a legal term, but it is a spirit that we have in this community. It is a spirit of welcoming everyone into the city. It's what makes, it's the best thing about who we are. It's that welcoming status that we have.
Chol.
Well, as somebody that became an adopted person in Syracuse, or as we know, as an immigrant, Syracuse is dear to my heart. And the reason Syracuse is so dear to my heart is it has given me a second chance in life. I would like that second chance for anybody that is fleeing war-torn spaces and violence anywhere, for Syracuse to be a space where they can seek respite. And I will do everything I can as mayor to make sure that Syracuse continue to carry their culture and the people that embrace this idea and the protection around it. I'll make sure that that happens.
Thank you all. That concludes our question and answer portion of the evening. I'm going to give you each a chance for a 90-second final pitch to voters. Chol, we will start with you.
Well, it is clear Syracuse needs a new beginning. With a rising poverty rate, low skills gap, and low reading rate in our community needs different direction. And as your next mayor, I will ensure that families, fathers, mothers, uncles, everyone that lives in Syracuse has a skill to help themselves. Syracuse continue to rise. That's our history as a city of Syracuse and people here. I want to ask all of you to start to think into the future and think that as we go forward, this is the time to decide. So much is going on with the city of Syracuse, but it needs somebody with the skill executive leadership to be able to take Syracuse forward. And for that, I would like to say I want to lead Syracuse into a future where families thrive, neighborhood flourishes, and opportunities are accessible. Thank you very much.
Sharon.
I fell in love with this city after I came here in the mid-'80s. And I fell in love with the city because I fell in love with its people. Coming off of this campus with an economics major, as an economics major with a degree in economics, I went into this community and met people all over, neighborhood to neighborhood. I've had executive experience, managing people, managing services, and managing money. And so it is my ask of you to consider me to take this city to its next journey of greatness. Because it is the greatness of Syracuse is what I saw when I thought I was headed to Wall Street with my economics degree. And then I met the people of this city. And from that moment, I've been committed to the city that adopted me as a daughter. And I'm here to serve you. I will continue to serve you. We are in a moment. And you have to have leadership that sees that moment, believes in that moment, and is ready to move forward for everyone in this community. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. Pat?
First of all, I'd like to thank you, Chris, syracuse.com, the kids up here at Syracuse University, and my fellow candidates. This has been a great evening. We're facing the future, and the first time in 80 years, Syracuse will have a chance, a transformative chance, and we have to seize that opportunity. I can only promise you with over 40 years of experience in government that my administration will be open, transparent, and effective. And then also be accountable, because that's what you citizens of the city of Syracuse deserve and expect. Thank you.
Thank you all. That's all the time we have today. Once again, I'd like to thank Sharon Hogan,
Sharon Hogan?
Sharon Owens, Pat Hogan, and Chol Majok for joining us, and to the Newhouse School at Syracuse University for hosting us today. Again, I'd like to specifically thank all the students and staff here at the university who helped make this possible. We've done several of these debates here now with Newhouse, and the students here are fantastic. Thank you all. A reminder, all three candidates are running to win the Democratic line in the race for Syracuse mayor. The election is Tuesday, June 24th, and early voting begins Saturday, June 14th. The primary is open to registered Democrats in Syracuse. You can find complete coverage of this race, the issues, and the candidates on syracuse.com and in the Post-Standard. And stay with syracuse.com on election night for live results and coverage of all the candidates. Lastly, be sure to get out and vote in June and make your voice heard in this election. Thank you all for being here, and good night.